Welcome to CivilNet. We have a very special guest here in our studio. Her name is Larisa Ryan, and she is the founder and CEO of Teach for Armenia. Larisa, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me today, Maria.
You're quite young to be on such an ambitious endeavor in Armenia, a developing country, with an education system that's still trying to figure out the direction at which it wants to go. And you are here, living here now for the past almost 3 years, with an initiative called Teach for Armenia. We have heard about Teach for America, Teach for All, so tell us how or why you decided to get involved or start this initiative here.
So I guess it dates back to 2010. I was graduating from university. I went to college in the United States, in Wisconsin, and I had the option of pursuing a marketing position, which was what my educational background is in. But I decided to try something else just because I knew I had my whole life to spend in an office, and I'm young and I can maybe do something different. And I learned about a program called Teach for America through my friend Erin. The program recruits young individuals from different universities in the US and sends them to teach in underserved schools around the country. The organization was created with this idea that if we really want to give all kids, regardless of their socioeconomic status, an opportunity to have really, really great education through great teachers, then we need to attract our best human capital resource towards this effort. So 25 years ago, this organization was founded. And it became incredibly global. Fast forward 25 years, there's over 30 countries who have adapted this idea, this model, that if we are to genuinely and on a national level improve our public education outcomes for all of our kids, then we need to get the best people to do this. So.
Okay, but you weren't a teacher. You weren't trained as a teacher, but you were sent to a school in which state, which city?
I was placed in Arizona. I lived in Phoenix and I taught in Glendale, which was a nearby
not Glendale,
town.
California.
Not Glendale, California. But as an Armenian, it was ironic that it was Glendale as well. As I said, I have a business degree, but after numerous application steps with the program, the organization decided that I'm best fit to teach special education. So I actually taught children with moderate disabilities in a Phoenix public school.
Is there a rigorous sort of screening process?
Incredibly rigorous.
Right.
Lots of different, multiple steps. They look at you from different kind of
angles,
and I think that's how teachers should be recruited into the field, because we have an immense honor and opportunity to shape our upcoming generation. So it only makes sense. You would screen a doctor before they do surgery, right? Hopefully. So that's what I like to think about it.
And it's interesting, from the Armenian sort of vantage point, from the Republic of Armenia, to know that there are underserved schools in the United States, as there are in every country probably. So now let's fast forward to Armenia. So you came here.
Yeah, so I came here. I was in my second year of teaching, and my mom was very proud of me, but slightly distressed that I wasn't using my talents and my dedication as a teacher towards Armenia and towards Armenian children. So she kind of planted this seed in my head about building something similar in Armenia. So after I graduated, I did go back for a period of time to marketing, and I left pretty quickly, because after you have such a rewarding, meaningful, difficult, but also mentally, emotionally inspiring and challenging experience, you really can't go back to anything else. So I moved to Armenia in early 2013, and from there the whole project began to kind of evolve, not only in my head but also through the support of different people, organizations, educational experts, and eventually the Ministry of Education as well.
you know, I'm looking at you and wonder, because it's not a small feat to do that. You know, Armenia is still a very bureaucratic country, very sometimes rigid in accepting a new idea such as this, especially in the field of education. So now you're here. As you said, you have support of individuals and organizations, but how was it accepted or by the Ministry of Education when you went to with this idea, a young Armenian American girl coming to them with this idea? How did that go?
I think because, as you said, it's not a small project. It's a national level type of project. The idea was welcomed, but it was understood that there's a lot that we need to think about and a lot that we need to develop and really create a program that responds to what we see as an area of need specifically in the Armenian educational system. So it didn't happen immediately. I mean, I worked a lot, and then I have a great team working with me right now as well. It took us, well, it's our second year now of development. It took me about a year to get the right people to support our vision. And once that happened, things began to move a lot faster, but we're still working and we're still learning, and we know that even, you know, 10 years from now or 20 years from now, we're going to be responding to the ever-changing landscape of our country and hopefully dealing with high-level problems that, I mean, problems always exist, right, in every country, and I think what we want to do is have Armenia deal with high-level problems after we have the opportunity to kind of deal with the lower-level problems as well.
Okay, so you recruit people from Armenia and from the diaspora. They need to have Armenian language skills, I presume, because if they're going to be teaching in Armenian schools.
Yes, unless you are a foreign language teacher.
Sure, yeah. Naturally. If you're going to be teaching English or Spanish or whatever the need is, or Russian, I presume as well.
Yes, Russian is a huge need now, obviously based on our current geopolitical changes. I actually just came back from Moscow, and I had a great meeting with an Armenian student association at the Higher School of Economics in Moscow, and I can't tell you how many bright individuals we have all over the world and how excited they are to be part of a movement like this. So I think, you know, I think for our first year, based on the applications we're getting right now, we'll probably have majority of our participants from Armenia. But we're very flexible, we're very open. We are recruiting from the diaspora. I fly out to the US in a few weeks to do presentations there as well. So I think the organization will change over the course of the years.
Depending on the needs as well. Will any of them be teaching in the major cities, in Yerevan or Gyumri, or is it primarily in the villages and the rural areas?
We see a huge need in rural Armenia. So our focus right now is definitely placing our teachers in regional schools, rural schools. However, I do foresee in the future expansion into hopefully larger cities as well. Again, what is great about our program is we recruit teachers every year, so we get to see what happens through the academic year and if there are changes and if there is more demand somewhere that we didn't see before. So we can be dynamic and we can be flexible. But as of now, our priority is only rural placements, and then a possible expansion into cities like Gyumri. Yerevan is a little bit different, although there is a need for really high quality teachers, I think, in our schools, which is a common trend all over the world as well, not just in our country. It's a little bit more difficult because it's more saturated here. I mean, there's many more teachers in Yerevan than in, so really we're at this point, we're filling in gaps because a lot of schools in rural Armenia, after even announcing open positions, can't attract teachers there, let alone, you know, the best teachers that this country has. So okay,
well, the question that comes to my mind is, okay, so you're filling in a gap. something that the Ministry of Education isn't able to do, obviously. But these teachers, they're not volunteering. It's a 2-year commitment. They're going to be paid from the state budget, like any other teacher would if they decided to go to a small village in the Lorimars, for example. So what is the ministry's motivation for allowing you to do this? I mean, what are you bringing that the ministry isn't doing?
I don't know if the ministry hasn't done this per se. I mean, there have been efforts prior to this to really get these positions filled and the right teachers to do this. There's even a budget that is allocated yearly for teachers, or for just in general, there's a budget within the government that pays for people to relocate back to the regions and pursue professional careers there. It's just difficult to get these people to go do this.
So why would somebody come through your organization and not through the ministry?
I think what sets us apart a little bit, well, what sets us apart is we are a part of a global organization, and we do have over 25 years of experience in terms of how to attract these people, and not only how to attract them, but how to also develop them as leaders throughout their 2-year commitment in teaching. So to us, you know, we're attracting a very diverse group, and it's a structured program, and there's a lot of support, there's a lot of monitoring, there's a lot of evaluation, there's a lot of community-based projects. Our model really kind of cultivates this understanding that we're here, we're Armenians, and we're doing this in Armenia, and we're doing it through the Armenian people for the Armenian people. And I think that's one missing ingredient that I've seen from other teacher trainings as well, through other organizations and state organizations included. There's not that follow-up kind of element and that support element, so sometimes it can get really lonely, and that can make or break kind of, you know, a situation. So in our case, you know, we have 20 fellows, and that's only our pilot year, and we plan to expand. And these people know that they're getting up in the morning and going to their respective schools, and they're, you know, working towards a common goal, and they're working together maybe in different schools separately, but they're all part of the same effort. So I think, to me personally as a teacher, obviously Teach for America was a large organization, but it did feel like I was a key part of something very, very large. And so I've met a lot of people throughout my journey who have said, you know, had Teach for Armenia existed before, maybe, you know, I would have still been in Armenia, because I would have felt that I'm being guided or I'm being supported. I mean, you know, I'm going to shout out the Impact Hub that's opening up soon, but I mean, had Impact Hub been here several years ago, maybe Teach for Armenia would have happened a lot sooner.
Sure,
because
absolutely.
You know, that ecosystem is really important to have, and Teach for Armenia is building that, not just through our own organization, but through the support of other organizations as well.
Would you be following the state curriculum, or you bring a different dimension to the teaching process?
Yes and yes. I mean,
Sure.
the curriculum is the same. I mean, we have to, by law, follow national curriculum and use textbooks that are appropriate for the classrooms. Our approach is different. Our teaching approach specifically is different. Our model is based on, well, it's a book that's been, it's a global kind of model now. It's called Teaching is Leadership. And it's how to effectively teach and lead your students, the parents that you're serving, the administration that you're working with, towards a common goal, a common vision, and it has to do obviously with personal and academic growth of your kids, of your students. I say kids, and I say my kids, and people are like, wait, you have children? No, it's my students. So that's how I think we should look at it, and it's exciting because it's again, it's very involved with the community. I mean, we expect our teachers, our fellows, to be living
in the community
in
itself.
The community.
Sure, because they couldn't be commuting every day.
No. And even if we do place in closer regions where you can potentially commute, we would not want them to do this, because if you really want to live through what your children are living through, share in on all of their experiences, their happiness, their pain, I mean, all of these things, you have to be there. And I mean, and we recruit different people for these types of positions. I mean, we have a few fellows selected already who are from regional Armenia, and they speak the dialect. And you know, we look for people who have left their hometowns, who have been incredibly successful already, and we try and get them to go back. Because when a child sees this person in front of them, you know, it's a win-win situation.
Role models, of which we have very few, unfortunately, right?
And it's a role model who's not just there to teach you for a few hours and then leave to their bubble again, but it's a role model who's there with you every day, and who is educated and who is passionate and wants you to succeed, and is also just like you. Right? Yeah. So that means a lot, I think. And I think that's our most powerful kind of...
Yeah. Certainly, as a, you know, in the opening I said it's a very ambitious endeavor. It certainly sounds like one. And now you're in the second year of development, and hopefully starting September 2015, the first fellows will be sort of dispersed throughout Armenia and begin teaching for Armenia.
Yes.
You must be very excited and proud.
We are very excited. I have this personality trait that until it's happened, I'm not going to be satisfied. Right. And my team has to deal with that personality trait of mine. But we are all very excited, and we keep working really hard, not only to develop this program, but to develop this, you know, to develop ourselves while we're doing this as well, and to really make sure that we're bringing the right people into this. Our fellows do go into schools in September. However, as part of their 2-year leadership development program that, as I said, they go through during their 2 years teaching, they have to go through a mandatory training that's called Summer Institute. And Summer Institute is a 5-week training course for our fellows, and it's a summer school opportunity free of charge for kids. So this year we're doing it in Titizian. We're graciously being hosted, our fellows are being hosted by the UWC Titizian International School. However, our fellows will be teaching children in a regular public school, and will be attracting children from all over Titizian and some villages in the neighborhood.
So if somebody wants to support your program, how can they do that?
Many ways. I mean, we definitely look for strategic partners. Partners, first of all, who share our vision and who do think that now, and more than ever before, we need to think about, we need to look back on the last 100 years of our history, but also look ahead to the next 100 years and invest in I think our most precious resource, which is our children and our upcoming generation and our current youth, and help them realize that, you know, it's important for them to be here, at least for some time. You know, it's important for them to give back. It's important for them to have their part in the future of this country that is theirs. So we have partnerships with different organizations, companies. I mean, we have financial support coming in through foundations and through companies, individual people as well, donors as well. We have people who are just excellent professionals and will help us with their sharing their expertise and knowledge. We have mentorship programs coming up. So once we place our fellows into schools, we'll be working with different professionals to have them come into classrooms and do workshops and trainings for children. We have so many people who have provided in-kind support to us as well, companies that have done in-kind support for us. So
you're not only, you know, you're building community,
Yeah.
outside of teaching. So that's a very noble cause, especially in a country that needs.
Thank you.
That needs community. So.
Thank you, and I think that that's the only way we get to do this work, because Teach for Armenia is definitely a very important step towards improving and making our country better. But what I'm most excited about is definitely the short-term impact that we'll have in classrooms and on education, but also the long-term impact. I mean, when you have people who go through these types of experiences, it stays with you for the rest of your life, and hopefully we'll seal that connection to Armenia, because Armenia deserves it. So absolutely, and I hope that, you know, our alums and the people that support us today or will support us in the future, that they'll, you know, I don't know, they'll stay connected, and they'll have their piece in everything as well. So
hope so too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest was Larisa Ryan. She is the founder and CEO of Teach for Armenia. Stay with CivilNet.